Well, Pastor Laura, since, before we answer online questions, we got quite a bit of online questions.
Amen.
Before we open up, I guess we can kind of call this a little table talk since it's just you and I and the camera crew in the building.
Amen.
So I guess we can just shoot the breeze and just do a little talking.
Amen.
Now, I was kind of thinking, since this is an unusual time that's going on around not just the country, but around the world. And people are at home, families are together. And I was kind of thinking about, before we answer some of the online questions, what do you think people should be doing now? Because you got a lot of people at home, the kids are out of school, a lot of the parents, they're working from home, some have been laid off in different things. And this is really unfamiliar territory with a lot of people. Now, I was kind of thinking back years ago, 30 plus years ago, when you and I were raising our children, there were school strikes, there was spring vacation. Well, in the hood, we call it cleanup week, and summer vacation, all that. But just share some few things, what do you think some of the people should be doing while they have this time?
Well, Pastor, right now, this is not the same as spring break. It's not the same as a strike on the school. I feel that every family should change the environment of their household.
Okay.
To calm everybody down, to encourage each other, to learn how to call on their God, learn how to pray, learn how to seek God. I think right now it's not too young for any kid, because I have dealt with the kids' ministry for years, and I have taught our kids to learn how to pray, learn how to intercede, learn how to go to God for themselves, because in times like these, they need to learn how to go to God for themselves.
Yeah.
And I encourage every family to don't be gloomy, don't be depressed. Learn how to be who you are and stand strong. We don't, it's sad when parents are afraid.
Oh, yeah.
It's sad when parents don't know what to say.
So that can kind of spread in that environment.
It spread the whole environment. The kids don't know what to do because everybody, you hear about this person down the street got you hear about your grandmother got it or whatever and stuff. But it's like you create an atmosphere of calmness because God is doing this thing. In other words, He's protecting those that believe in Him, and those that believe that God's word. So I believe right now, I believe that all the time. I have always done this, create the atmosphere.
Sure.
You create the atmosphere with music, you create the atmosphere with games and fun and what have you stuff. Don't be confined.
Now, what about this? This is challenging to a lot of people, because especially you have two working parents, or even if it's single parent, and they're used to working, or if they have children, they're usually at school or daycare or whatever. And you have families now who may not be used to spending all of this time together. Well, not just the children. You can have marriages who, they're both, speaking of that, years and years ago, in our early marriage, I lost my job, I think it was in 1986, I believe. Yeah, one of those years. And one of the mistakes that I did, and it was a genuine mistake, and I tell anybody, especially a man, regardless, you lose your job, try to instantly get a job. And the advice I had got at that time, and it's nothing against anyone, at that time I think we had 3 children, and they said, well, continue looking for a job, but I was able to get unemployment. And in those days, unemployment was going to be more money than had I found another job. Because in those days, I think I was making like $4 an hour. And I took that advice, but it was really not the best advice. Even though the money was not an issue, because I was collecting unemployment, still looking for a job, but that time, being there at the house, you and I together nonstop, that kind of created some problems.
Yeah. You'd be amazed. People think they're taking advantage of the government, taking advantage of the money that's going to come in, but that money got an attachment to it. In the sense of, there's a lot getting taken away from that. Getting taken away, and families should not be afraid of each other.
Yeah.
You know, you should be
Well,
afraid.
we were
I
young.
know, but I'm saying like,
yeah.
oh my God, I'm at home with my husband all day. Well, what you marry him for? If you didn't expect to spend the rest of your life with them, and then you got the kids, and then like, oh my God, I got these kids all day long. Well, that's what you did. If they there forever. You know, even when they grown, they still there.
Are they?
They still there.
Are they?
They still there. I'm like, oh my God, they ain't went nowhere. They might have left the house, but they still there.
They're still around.
They
Right?
still around. So it's the point of it.
Because it's a challenge for some families.
It's a challenge,
now.
but it's also a thing to slow things down.
Yeah.
It's slowing everything down. Now you can start looking at some stuff. Now you can start analyzing some stuff. Now you can start sorting out really what do you want from your life.
Yeah.
You know, or where the kids are at and all that stuff. It's a slowing down period, and it's a time to grow up.
Yeah.
It's a time to come together.
Yeah.
It's a time to recognize.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, it's calming everybody down. Besides, listen to the report every day. It's calming us down. In other words,
well, you're saying something. We advise don't do all that. It's not that we're naive or ignorant to the things, but do not spend the whole day listening to the reports and all of that kind of stuff. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, we can get on into answering some of our online questions. But before I do that, now some people might be wondering, Apostle, why are you dressed in Cubs uniform? Well, because of this virus, the Cubs opening day was supposed to have been Monday, a couple days ago. And of course, I would have been there. But since there's no ball game, I figured I would just commemorate a little bit by putting on my Cubs outfit. I'm a Cubs fan. Since there's no sports going on, they've been replaying the 2016 World Series where the Cubs won the World Series. So that's why I'm dressed this way.
Oh, okay.
Since there's no ball game,
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm dressed this way because I would have been at the Cubs home opener. Okay, enough of that. All right, we got quite a few questions here online, and as I said, those of you who like to ask us a question, hopefully we can answer it before the broadcast is over. Now, one of the questions came. It says, "I love that every week your advice gets better and better. Thank you, Pastor, for keeping hope alive during this pandemic." Well, that's not a question, a statement. Well, you're quite welcome.
Amen.
All right, here's another one. I took your advice, trying to humble myself to my husband, family, and they still hate me. I apologize just to save face, but my performance should have been believable. I kind of remember this question where I think the individual had some issues with the in-laws, and we kind of gave them advice on what to do. And I guess she's saying she did apologize, but she's admitting her performance should have been believable. So if your apology, if it wasn't believable, then maybe they didn't think your apology was legitimate.
Yeah.
So it's not about showing face. Do it from the heart. If there was some wrong done, apologize, and not just apologize. One of the things I've learned over the years is when you've done wrong, it's not just to apologize. Ask them to forgive you. And then, so now what that does, that puts it kind of on them. See, because it's easy to say, I'm sorry. But now, if you really did something that offended them, ask them, what, I was wrong. Can you all forgive me? So now when you do that, that puts it back on them.
Yeah.
So try that, sister. Try that. Another question was, well, this is marriage and family, so it's a little explicit tonight, but how do you handle it when you feel like your sexual appetite is not in sync with your spouse's? I want it more than my spouse does. Now, when I read that, and especially when doesn't give really details, you have to assume sometimes, is there an age difference? That can be an issue. Age difference. Is there health issues? That could mean something. Is there some pressure issues? Because sometimes, whether man or woman, they can feel like they're under so much pressure And it can affect them emotionally, which likewise can affect them sexually also too. And then also, is there some attraction issues? You know, so like anything else in any marriage, you need to talk about it, find out what's going on. Why are you feeling more something? Maybe the individual's just feeling less. So there's some issues going on here.
Yeah,
So you need to talk about it.
You don't need to assume the worst.
Right.
Don't assume the worst. I think clarification, communication, make it very clear. Women have a tendency to have a lot on their mind, and if they got a lot on their mind, and they not high on sexual activity, they're not thinking about sex in that kind of form. If they have a lot on their mind, you can think about if the woman is overworked. If she overworked, and if she's overworked, she can feel bitter that I have to work all day long and you thinking about sex.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it's a because sex is really a mind thing. In other words, you start when you walk in the house. That's what a lot of people understand. You start with the how you doing, dear? I missed you. I do this and stuff. And then you the little things you do all during the day arouse the person all during the day. Then by the time they have intercourse, it be like we are ready because all during the day you arouse me by making sure you let me know you thought about me. So it ain't just hopping in the bed, you know, and just doing the thing. It's the little things all during the day.
So like I say, you have to talk about it, and it's not saying which, it's just saying spouse. It's not saying he or she, but obviously there's something going on one way or the other. Talk about it, you know, find out what it is. And as you said, that can be an issue.
Yeah.
Because, you know, most things are mental, especially with women.
Yeah.
You know, so talk about it and find out what's going on. Let's see. Next question was, is it wrong to still be married but write my spouse out of the will and only include my kids? Now, once again, obviously there is a problem.
There's a problem. There's a problem.
There is a problem.
There's a problem. And I have seen so many marriages. People stay married just for the money.
Sure.
They stay married. They think about their insurance. They think about their 501 case, whatever that job case is. They don't want that man to have that case or their money or the case. They stay married for that. And they be married for years waiting on the person to die.
Yeah.
Instead of divorcing them because I don't want to have half my money. But then he's still taking a part of you. They still taking a part of you because you suffering all these years with somebody you unhappy with. This right here is saying it right here, like, I'm staying with him, but I'm not going to put him in my will if I die. Well, clarification is saying like, hey, I need to find out why I make a decision. That's what it is. Make a decision. Because other than that, I can imagine being with somebody that I'm not in love with just for the sake of what? Am I worried about what people saying about me? Worried about the kids or whatever and stuff? The kids feel the atmosphere. They're small. And then if they're grown, they see how y'all acting, treating each other. Or somebody might start cheating on each other because of what they said. So it's several things before you sign the dotted line and say, well, I'm going to sign this dotted line and I'm not going to put it in my will. We need to get to the bottom of this because that's a problem.
Yeah, there is a problem. And obviously for the person to say, my spouse out of the will, you must have something. Because when you have nothing, you don't have no will.
And then the thing about this, I can pick up some distrust.
Oh yeah.
Or I don't know if they still live together.
Yeah.
He might live with another woman and saying like, well, he ain't gonna take my stuff when I leave. I'm gonna make sure he don't touch nothing. It's bitterness and distrust in there. And it's like, well, then if there's so much bitterness and distrust, then why you still holding on to the license?
Yeah, like we tell anybody, with all of this, it's only so much we can answer, but you need to get some counseling. When you're still in a marriage, when you're still there, now it's not over till it's over, but if you're still there, get some counseling. We try to tell everybody, try to work it out. Get some counseling. You know, we can only answer so much, okay? But there is a problem there, okay? Another question says, I believe my wife is a closet lesbian. I know the average man would consider me lucky, but I am in so much pain. How do I confront her about it after 15 years of marriage? Let me first say this. Uh, no, don't think for a moment. Now, a lot of men are, I've said this before, they are physical and they could, visual, I mean. And in a case like that, some men could think that's fine, but most men don't want their wife like that. So let me correct that. The average man, the average husband will not consider that lucky that your wife is possibly gay. You know, other woman on the side, maybe some men like that, but not their wife. So let me inject that because it's still cheating regardless. And that goes into a bunch of other areas. So how do you confront it? After 15 years of marriage, or 15 minutes, or 15 months, you got to talk.
Yeah.
It seems like some of these questions that we get, I don't know if people are afraid to talk or to confront.
Yeah, you have to, and I don't know what she's indicating in her life.
Yeah.
I don't know if she has a best friend that's keep coming over there, and then you thinking that that she's paying more attention to the friend than you, or she just have certain kind of ways around the house. I don't know what she's indicating.
Or what made you suspect this? Really?
Somehow
When did you suspect this or something?
Did she have a low sex drive with you that you think that she don't want you anymore?
Yeah.
It has something that's indicated, but then this is where the time is. You should not ever be afraid to confront your mate.
Never.
And so when you're afraid to confront them, then what happened is there's all these little secrets going around, and when you have a secret, then what you do is you got imaginations.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
imaginations run wild.
Sure does.
It just go wild, like, oh my God, she's doing it with this, doing with that. And then what you do when the imagination running wild, you begin to see what you want to see.
Yeah.
Even though it's not true, you begin to see what you want to see. In other words, she can be walking across the street with a woman across the street, and you'll say, oh, that must be her new lover.
Right.
And and that might not be true. It could be just somebody she walked across the street, but you get to see what you want to see. So in other words, you need to shut this door right now. Shut it right now. So listen here. We need to talk. And and it could be sensitive. It could be an insult to her if she's not even that way.
That's true.
It could be insult like, are you for real? Like, why would you think something like that?
Yeah.
And then that open the conversation, say, well, you haven't been at home, you've been with your friend most likely. It opened the conversation,
Absolutely.
but you got to say it because that imagination is so wild.
Yeah.
And when it get wild, oh my God, you are seeing stuff that's really not there.
Right. So talk about it. Find out. I'm not saying it's not true one way or the other, but you need to talk about it and find out what's going on. Okay. Here's the other question. I had a one-time affair on my husband, got pregnant, but never told him. I'm afraid to get a DNA test, fearing that it will tear my family apart. My son will be 9, and then it has advice. Well, first of all, go ahead.
Let me say this. I know everybody think the DNA make a difference with the father. It does not. In the sense of this man that has been in that child life for 9 years, he think that's his son, think it's his daughter, whoever that is, and they consider them their child. It is such, and I have seen families broken apart when, even though the mother and father dealt with it, but the kid is the one that suffered.
Yeah.
The kid been thinking all their life, this is my dad, this is who I've been depending on, and blah, blah. And they've been through some stuff together. Right. 9 years, I've been through some stuff with them. And so now then you telling me that this ain't my father, this ain't not the man that I trusted and believe in. And then it's not only that, it's looking at you different. That you did not tell me. All these many years, you could have told me this and that. It's so many issues with that now. I know that it is gratifying for you to find out if that's the father or not.
Well, I'll even say this much. I'm only going on what she's saying. She said, I'm afraid to get a DNA, which means you might suspect that it is not the husband.
But why are you thinking about this 9 years later?
Well, I don't know that. We
See,
don't know.
that's
Maybe they
another
could have
thing.
been
Why are
thinking
you
about
thinking
it for
about
years
this
and
9 years
years.
later? In other words,
Maybe sometimes, like I say, we can only answer so much. Sometimes a person could think they can get past it, or as a child gets older, maybe they're starting to see this person does resemble so and so so. So as time go on, it can get more something. But as you said, you know, that could be a very serious thing.
yeah.
I suggest really you get some counseling on that if you possibly can. I just assume sometimes that most people who write into us, I don't know if they're Christians or in churches, and that's something that, you know,
Yeah,
I'm not
because
going to tell you one way or the other, because that's
it's
devastating.
family. It's devastating.
It can break up.
because-
It can possibly break up the family.
Yeah.
It can also that child, but on the same token, it can do something to that man too.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
generally men do have an attachment. They have attachment to their children, but a son. And I'm telling you, most men's ego, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
And you know, I have personally went through some things with my family, and it was devastating.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible. But even the child, they took the child to the courthouse, and the child was screaming about my daddy, my dad. It's horrible. Yeah. It is horrible.
Some of your relatives, not your family.
No, not my,
but
some of my relatives, and it was not a good feeling.
Right.
It was not a good feeling. So I seen how it looked, how it tear a family. Yeah. And how people don't, you know, and another thing, people could say they forgive you, but then they still bring it up in certain other ways and stuff, and eventually they got a divorce. But it's like, I'm trying to deal with it. Yeah. It's kind of hard to deal with sometimes.
Yeah. You have to, hopefully you can get with someone who can really counsel you about it. I'm not going to tell you one way or the other. Sure, somebody can say, yeah, you need to say something. But that's not always the case. That's not an easy thing to do because, like I said, telling a man that, I know some men who can't handle that at all, that they would physically want to do something. So we won't dare say one way or the other to do that. You know, I really suggest you really seek the Lord, try to get some real good wisdom on what to do with this, you know, and really kind of why you're at the stage now wanting to do it, I'm not sure. But really, try to get some good advice, seek the Lord, get some spiritual guidance. That's what I suggest. That's why it's so important to be in a good church.
Yes, it is.
You know,
very important.
Very important. Okay. Next question. Let's see. My husband prefers his mother's everything over mine. Her cooking, her advice, her guidance, everything. This person put in exclamation capitalized everything. I did not know I was marrying such a mama's boy. Help me. Now, let me quickly say this. Why didn't you know? How long did you date? You know, some simple things. This is why, you know, you spend time with a person and with their family and see how the interactions are. And if you've done that you would kind of see some things. You know, you don't meet anybody and marry them tomorrow. You know, I think there's a show on television, something about that, marrying at first sight or something. Yeah. Crazy like that. You don't do nothing like that. So now, I'm not sure how you did not know, but once again.
Now you can flip this. Mm-hmm. You can flip it. If he loved everything about his mother, then, I'm not saying for you to change some stuff. Mm-hmm. You can start in the meeting with his mother about the cooking. Like, how you cook this, Mom? Because he loved your ravioli. Mm-hmm. Let me see how you cook the ravioli. Yeah. Oh my God, or start being friends with the mother.
Unless this is a young, very, very, very young marriage, maybe. And, there's not enough time yet with the cooking. He's still kind of stuck on his mother's cooking. He's still stuck on her advice and her guidance and all of that. And he has not transferred the
Well,
trust
okay,
yet.
but you still could flip
Perhaps.
this. You can still flip this and say, like, if he trusted her, then she must have trusted him marrying me.
Okay.
You know, you can if he took her advice on everything,
Yeah.
well, then he must have took her advice in marrying me. I'm sure he had other girls who coming around and having stuff and said, no, this is the one. So you can get 1 point for that.
Yeah, if that is the case.
If he take her advice on everything, then
Yeah.
I'm sure he asked her, is this the one or should I move on?
Maybe so.
So in other words, don't create a fight.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Don't make him choose.
Yeah.
Don't make him choose. Don't create a fight, because this is not hard unless first of all, you have him at home, not y'all staying in his mama house.
Yeah.
So you still have
Well,
time.
obviously,
room.
it's bothering her. Like I say, if this is a very, very young marriage, he just has not transferred the trust yet.
Yeah, but sometimes you can take it not. It could not. It ain't. Sometimes it can be not personal. Maybe he just does away with everybody. If he just away with everybody, I don't trust my mom. I don't want to tell me the truth. I hear you, buddy, but hey, move on. You're a grown man now.
Yeah.
You got a wife and you might have a kid later, whatever stuff. I get this, but I don't want to put a wedge in saying this is going to be a hard thing to do.
Or even how does the mother feel? Maybe if you have a good relationship with your with your mother-in-law, maybe you can talk to her. Just see.
And then some mothers-in-law
and maybe she can help.
Right, but then if some mother-in-law said, "Well, I'm his first love," I have heard some mother-in-law say, "I'm his first love." You might have been his first love.
Well, people say that, and I had a wonderful, wonderful relationship with my mother. But she was my mother. That was it. That was it. My mother. That was it.
I get it. But some
I
people...
didn't want to spend 24/7 with my mother. That was it. And God knows I loved her. She loved me. So I'm not sure with that, my mother, my first love. No, that's my mother.
But if you have a single parent and her son, he could be the only child. He could be the older child. And the mother get attached to the older son or the only child. Now that's provided because
there's no man there.
Right, ain't no man there. And so it's like, my son been doing everything for me. And then you grow up with the sense of responsibility for your mother.
Then that can be tough, because
it's like,
that can be tough. Because,
so it's a lot go with that.
Yeah,
instead of like,
that
I don't want to, I know we together, but I don't want to hurt my mother either. So it's like we hearing her side of the story. We're not hearing his side of the story. Yeah. In other words, we don't know how many people in the family that the mother have. And if this is my only son, I'm just trying not to start a wedge. In other words, we're not looking for no trouble. Let's settle this.
Yeah, that can be, when things kind of get unbalanced like that.
Because it can start because
and parents are not supposed to do that.
We do not want.
You release your children.
I told a person that I do know, and I say, this is how we deal with the situation. I love the same man you love. So in other words, let's settle this. Yeah. In other words, there shouldn't be no fighting with people we love.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't be no fighting. Now I love him too. You love him too. In other words, we should not be fighting about somebody that we love.
That's true. That is true. So but like everything goes back to get some counseling. It's only so much we can answer. Need some counseling about that. It might be the entire family, maybe. Okay, let's see. Next question was, I am dating a divorced man who swears he will never get married again. How long should I wait and try to convince him to fully commit to me? It has been 10 years. 2 words, believe him. I mean, when he said, if he was already married, he's divorced, and he swears, he says, I'm never getting married again, and you saying, how long should you wait? And it's been 10 years. Believe him.
I don't know why she don't believe him, because we have a mindset that says he's going to change his mind after 2, 3, 4, 5,
but if he already
6,
said
7,
I'm never getting married again,
8,
and then you're with me and
9.
you have intentions of wanting to get married, and I'm saying I'm not getting married. So now what do you?
I really don't. I don't know what was she thinking when he said that, because after he said this, and and I know the beginning of any relationship, like, oh, I know what you're saying, but you gonna want to marry me. Okay, I get it.
Right.
The first year.
Yeah.
And then, you put a time limit on everything if you're going to move forward.
Yeah.
I would have put a time limit before 3 years.
Yeah.
But okay, the 10 years, now you got emotion involved with that. Now you, this is your soul, man. I love this man and I don't want to lose him, blah, blah. Well, then you have to make a decision that you just won't get married.
Exactly.
You have to make a decision that I just would never get married, but I'm going to stay with him. And I understand this how he thinks. And because he think this way, I'm willing to stay with him for the rest of his life, and we never get married. Because now we married in our heart. We don't need no license. We don't need nobody telling us anything. We married in our heart now.
Yeah, well, whatever. But the thing about it is, at least he's divorced.
He very honest. He told
he's
her.
honest.
He told her, I don't want. It's just like a man
that.
tell me, I don't want no kid. And you said, well, I know what you said right now, but I think I want to have a baby by you. I don't want no kids.
Exactly.
And that thing, no, we sniff, and he ain't got no kids. We're like, when this happen? When this happen?
Yeah. So.
And I never get my kid.
Yeah, believe him. Believe him. It's been 10 years. Believe him. You should have believed him after the first year. Believe him. If he said he'll never do it, that's that.
And I know that we can't believe, because you know why? Because people say stuff all the time they don't say. They don't really mean. I said that I'll never leave you, but then you left out the door. You said that you love me forever, but now you don't love me no more. So it's a lot of people said things and they don't really mean it. So then you simply believe that he just said that because he had just a bad marriage and he said I'd never do this again.
Well, whatever. I mean.
And so we don't believe people because they say stuff all the time, but they don't really mean what they say.
But what she's saying is, how long should I wait and try to convince him to fully commit to him? Let me tell you something about men. Now, you could speak on women, but most men, especially, I've seen men where you would think that they like, how come they're not married? If a man does not want to be married, he's not getting married. And it has nothing to do with you. And then sometimes you can see a man, he's wait till he gotten older, and then he married somebody, and they'd be like, man, what did that person have that I didn't have? That had nothing to do with it. They just were not ready. And most men, when they are set in their ways with that, it has nothing to do with you. You know, when a man is set in a certain way, when he's like, I'm ready to get married, he's going to do it. If he's not, you can be Queen Sheba. It does not matter.
Yeah.
And then when he is ready, Plain Jane can come and he'll marry her. So it has nothing to do with the individual. So she's trying to say, try to fully to convince him. He's saying he's not going to do it. It's nothing against you personally. That's a decision he's made.
And a decision based on his hurt, decision based on where he wants to be or whatever. He doesn't want to. And the thing about this, you have to be strong enough to protect your heart.
Yeah.
If this is what you really want, then you need to find somebody that's willing to marry you.
Yeah.
But other than that, if you just whether say, "Oh, I'm just going to be happy with him," because he's a good guy. He's not a bad guy, so I just want to stay with him.
But
then
obviously, she wants marriage. So don't do yourself like that. If you want marriage, don't be afraid. And like you say, he could be a great guy and all of that, but he's been honest about it. And if you want marriage, don't sell yourself short. It's nothing wrong with that. So if you want marriage and he doesn't, get out of it and go for what you really want. Okay. Next question. My wife keeps trying to incorporate astrology and zodiac signs in our household. I believe it to be witchcraft. How do I get her to stop without her blaming it on my sign? So I'm assuming whatever sign he is, she thinking, because you did, that's why you like that. Let me say this from a Christian standpoint. I've taught this before. We talked about it in our Prepared Soldier School of Ministry. Astrology, zodiac signs, all of that, it is demonic. No ifs and buts about it. Because astrology is basically interpreting human behavior and destiny. That's all astrology is. You know, I see somebody coming in your life, blah, blah, blah. Today is going to be your day of whatever. And the thing about that, since it's demonic, you've got to be careful because you open that door for Satan. And, you know, you cross into familiar spirits, all of that. That's why as Christians, we're not to deal with psychics and none of that kind of stuff. Or divination, sorcery. The Bible forbids that. You can look that up. Go in your, what do you call it, the back of the Bible?
Concord.
Yeah, you can and get all scriptures on that. And because remember, God is our only source. You know, he's our only source of guidance. Not horoscopes, not what sign are you. You got to be careful with that because Satan will get involved in that.
Yeah.
And you start believing those things, and I've said for years, the devil, he's a flesh devil. And he'll be doing things, and it'll seem like it's true. You'll be like, that's right. All Virgos are like this. No, that's Satan. So that is demonic. And I know, and don't type in quick some ugly letters, because I know some Christians who get into that psychic stuff and them signs and astrology and all of that. And you don't want to get into that. You don't want to get into that. That is of Satan. It is not of God.
Amen.
Christians, we don't practice signs like that.
Amen.
All right? So do your homework on that, Christian. So you're right with that. Okay. Let's see. Another question was, my wife has a male friend who she introduced to me as her soulmate. Initially, I was okay with their relationship, but as years went on, I am jealous and angry. Help. Now, I'm assuming, saying soulmate, like this is just some close friend or something like that.
Somebody she grew up with.
Yeah, maybe so, you know. But what have I been saying for years and years? Having opposite sex relationship, that's a violation against the marriage itself. Even though you can have people say, you know, we cool, we agree with it, he know who my friend is, she know, it violates the marriage. And you've got to be very, very careful with that. I've taught for years, once a person gets married, all relationships are redefined. Even including your family, your relatives, they're redefined now. They're no longer the same. The placings are now different. The priorities are now different. You know, and that's with all relationships are redefined once a person gets married.
But one thing too, Pastor, even if they've been friends for years and they've been, you know, they went through some stuff, but they should not get as close, as intimate as your husband and wife. In other words, I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about knowing sexual stuff about each other.
But you know what? Of course, that's a definite no-no. But you've got to be careful. You should not be sharing emotions, anything outside of someone who's not you know, a non-relative as such, the opposite sex. They should not know your emotions or your feelings.
The emotions could be strong since what if me and my husband get into an argument and I go over my friend's house and they consult me and what happened stuff. And then I'm not sharing how am I feeling with my husband, which I should be. Yeah. I'm sharing my feelings with my friend.
And you shouldn't be.
And I shouldn't be.
You shouldn't be
so
doing
in other words, I'm disconnecting myself and I'm clinging on to this with something that don't belong to me. Right. And now I'm holding on to something and said that, well, you know, you always there for me. No, you shouldn't. He should not always be there for you. No, because the thing about it, you are building an attraction that you shouldn't build at all. And of course, the husband saying that like you depend on him more than you depend on me. Yeah, that is a problem. So you got to pull your weight away from that. And then he got to tell her she got to pull her away from him.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, and I know people who think nothing of it, that, but it's not a good place to be. And I'm not saying something is always going on. There could be some things where it's innocent, but you just don't want to create that. You know, you don't want to put yourself in certain positions like that. And you should not be, when you are married, you should not be sharing your emotions with someone of the opposite sex.
And I understand how you started out. You be all friends. He bring his girlfriend over, and y'all go on double dates and hang out and blah blah.
But you know what?
But
That's fine. You know,
right,
that's fine, which means the guys, we cool,
yeah,
and the ladies are cool.
yeah.
But that there has to be something,
But see, it get to a point where I have seen people, even though their husband and wife is there, they can be, oh, I just love you so much, and all this. What you doing also in front of your husband?
Yeah.
And they do that, like,
Yeah.
I just, he's such a good whatever. No, we can't be doing. You disrespecting the marriage.
Yeah.
And people do, and they not mean any harm because they are buddies and friends, and they know each other and this and that, and that he with her, and he with him, and they said, well, we not crossing no line because we know each other mates, and we've been doing this for years. This is just our way of communication.
But let me say this: the thing could be this. You might can trust yourself, and maybe it's not you, but you can't speak for the other person because you don't know. See, you might be cool, like I never view her like that, but you can't guarantee that other one won't cross that line mentally. And what if they do that? Now it puts you in an awkward position. Now that door has been opened, and I don't care how it is. We could have been cool, grew up together, and I ain't thinking this way about you. Then all of a sudden, you kind of come to me like that. It changes everything. Now, by you telling me these kind of feelings, I'm freaked out. But then now, my view changes. Because now I'm looking at you because I know you look at me now that way. So to avoid that, you just don't have it. See, that's what I'm saying. You might be cool. You might trust yourself and don't view your friend like that. But you can't guarantee that they one day may not view you like that. And if they do, it's going to change the relationship because now you're not looking at her or him the same way you used to for years. Now you know they're looking at you different. And when you know somebody is looking at you different, you can't help but to look at them different. So to avoid that, just don't do it. Don't you don't get into that.
And then and she should not even announce that it's my soulmate. He's not your soulmate.
No.
That's not true.
No.
And so your husband should be your soulmate.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is, I am a Christian. My wife is a Muslim. We agreed to not have kids because of our different beliefs. Fast forward 5 years, and now she's pregnant. Now we are fighting about how to raise our son. Well, what I'm going to say, I'm sure you already know, this is kind of the price of violating, I think it's 2 Corinthians 6:14, about not being unequally yoked. That's kind of the price you pay. If you're a believer, you should not have even gotten with an unbeliever. That's kind of the price you pay. You violated that. That's kind of what happens. But fast forward, you say you're a believer, and now what you can do, just like any marriage where you've got a believer and a non-believer, I would try to believe God for salvation. There's a couple scriptures. You write this down. 1 Corinthians 7th chapter, verse 14. It says, perhaps the husband who isn't a Christian may become a Christian with the help of his Christian wife. Now, in your case, it's reversal. And the wife who isn't a Christian may become a Christian with the help of her Christian husband. Otherwise, if the family separates, the children might not come to know the Lord. Whereas a united family may, in God's plan, result in the children's salvation. So believe God for salvation of your spouse. 1 Peter, the 3rd chapter, I would meditate on the 1st through the 9th verse. But 1 Peter, 3rd chapter says, wives, fit in with your husband's plans, and in your case, it's vice versa. For then if they refuse to listen when you talk to them about the Lord, they will be won by your respectful, pure behavior. Your godly lives will speak to them better than any words. So what you do now is just start living your life as the Christian. It's not so much as just telling her this, that, but if she see the light in you, then that will cause something in her to perhaps want to have what you have. So in other words, let your light shine. Don't get caught up into arguments of this or that. Yeah, you did something you shouldn't have did. That's kind of the price of that. But now, if you love her, and I assume you do, and you're about to have a child, or if you do, believe God for her salvation. God will give you wisdom. Ask him to give you wisdom on how to go about being a husband to her and all of that. And hopefully things will work out that way. Okay? Next question. It says, I'm a trans woman, but my outer appears otherwise. I want to start hormone process, but I was raised to believe God makes no mistake. It says, but I'm uncomfortable in my skin. I don't know if that means I'm comfortable in my skin. So I'm just taking it. I don't know if this is a man wanting to be a woman or a woman wanting to be a man. Either way, you are correct on this. God doesn't make mistakes. And let me say this, God is not behind any defects. God is not behind just like God is not behind any sickness or anything like that. So that is absolutely correct. God is not behind any of this stuff. Let me say this. I kind of looked up a few things. As far as, we're in an age now with transgender and all of that kind of stuff, transsexuality, cross-dressing, all of this kind of stuff. People wanting to get surgeries, hormone treatments, and different things like that. And this is nothing new. This has been going on in the Bible days.
Yeah.
So this is really nothing new. And really, the root to all of this, and I don't want to just like we're bashing gay people now, because I don't do that. Sin is sin. But the root, it is rebellion against the creation of the order of male and female. And that's just a fact. And as I said, this is nothing new. In the Bible days, Canaan, Sodom, Gomorrah, most of us know about Noah. The flood was a result because the earth had got so wicked.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new, but one of the tricks of the enemy is to try to normalize sin. In other words, get it where it doesn't bother us anymore. Whether it's like I said, I'm not going to just jump on homosexuality and this, that, where it just becomes normal, where things just don't bother us anymore. And that's one of the tricks of the enemy. Now, there's a little article. This was done by the American College of Pediatricians, and they said this. There are a lot of things they said, but they said this, and this is what stood out to me. No one is born with an awareness of themselves as male or female. This awareness develops over time, and like all developmental processes, may be derailed by a child's subjective perceptions, relationships, and adverse experiences from infancy forward, when they were a child or baby. People who identify as feeling like the opposite sex or somewhere in between do not comprise a third sex. They remain biological men or biological women. So basically, and I've said this about with anything, when people say, I feel like, if a woman say, I feel like being with another woman, or a man say, I'm attracted to another man, you can feel a lot of things, but you can't live by your feelings.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying those feelings are not real.
Yeah.
We're talking about married couples and people cheating. You could feel like you want to cheat, but that doesn't make it right.
One of the things that Satan did very cleverly, he didn't do it very cleverly. I mean, he really but when he introduced the same-sex marriage, or introduced the changing of the sex, because this has been going on for years.
Yeah.
But what he did was he wanted to stop reproducing.
Sure.
That's part of the the law of the land is reproduced.
Yeah.
God said, I want you to reproduce. Now, when he introduced it for your emotion and whatever stuff, is to stop God's plan.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm going to stop God's plan. I'm going to get somebody with the same sex and looking at each other, and it would stop the multiply. It would stop the multiply. So now I'm going to get somebody just as deranged and twisted like I am, and then they would think it's all right. Yeah. But it's really to stop the plan of God. Because one of God said, I need you to reproduce. You can't reproduce with the same sex.
No, exactly.
You cannot reproduce that. So now he threw this out years ago, and all it is about, I want to hurt God people. And I want to hurt God people to the point that they cannot reproduce this. Now, what we have done is, like you said, like numb us and say, like, oh, that ain't nothing wrong with that. When you love somebody, you can't help who you love. Well, that's a lie right there. You can help who you love. Yeah. It ain't no such thing. You can't help who you love. Yeah. You decide who you love. It's just like, I didn't have to choose you. Right. I decide that I'm going to choose you. Right. So in other words, it ain't like, oh my God, I just can't help myself. When you need to learn how to help yourself.
Who you talk to. Or who you be around.
You know, I can't help myself. Sure. I'm so gullible. You need not to be so gullible. The Bible call you simple. In the Bible, call you very simple. Said you are simple, you are a fool. That you have no control over your emotions. Yeah. And so, but this really is a plan. The devil has been doing this for years, and he did this several years. But it stopped the plan of God of reproducing. Yeah. And as long as I get them to mess up their mind, mess up what they think, I stop what God wants. This is what God wants. God wants the people in the image of him. You cannot be the image of him if you like the same sex. Yeah.
But see, like I said, with anything, because you feel a certain way, that doesn't make it right. Get. Once again, it's so important to be in a church. And like anything else, you can get delivered. And like I said, and I'm not saying that your feelings are not real to you. See, I don't want anybody to ever think that. When somebody say, I know what I feel, you're right. I believe you do feel this way, but you can be delivered from it. Because you feel a certain way doesn't mean you act it out.
Right, but it's the same. But let's make this very clear, because people like putting more weight on one area than another area. You can feel that somebody don't love you.
Yeah.
You can feel that people don't care about you. That's not true. Yeah. But you can feel it.
Sure.
Excuse me. You can feel it. So in other words, if you put it on the same category, say, I feel this way, it is the same category, but you have said, no, this is different. It's not different because when you feel that nobody loves you, then that make you want to commit suicide.
Sure.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah. But like I said, your feelings are real, but you can deliver like anything else. So don't think that way. You were born this way. That's why it's so important. One of the things we do minister of parents raising your children, as scripture say, train up a child in the way he should go. Know what their purpose is. You train them in that way. And a child, they don't know. They only know what they're told. So, a child can get around somebody and then they could think it's okay. I mean, I grew up with all brothers, but let's say if I had a sister who had baby dolls, and then say if I wanted to play with the dolls and nobody told me, you don't need to do that or whatever, then you would think it's okay, and that could be with anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So hey, no sweat. God can deliver us like anything else. Okay. Amen. And this is not to bash you at all. Okay. Next question is, and we're going to kind of hurry and wrap this up. When my husband is mad, he talks to me disrespectfully. I have asked him to stop several times, and it's like adding fuel to the fire. I don't do him like that. Help. Well, anger is fear. Okay? Anger is fear. And you have to always ask, what is he afraid of? Whenever a person, when they've got a lot of anger and all of that, that comes up under fear. And talk to him, find out what he's angry about, maybe he's feeling pressure and maybe those things, and continue talking with him that how this makes you feel when he talks a certain way to you. Don't ever give up on talking. See, don't ever say, well, it don't do any good. No, you keep talking. Keep talking, okay? And once again, as always, get some counseling. It's important to get some counseling. Okay, next question. Every woman has a work husband. Mine happened to be a guy that I am considering leaving my actual husband for. My law husband isn't as attentive and can be mean. Now, when I kind of read this, every woman has a work husband. I mean, obviously, I've been out of the secular workforce too long because I've never heard an expression like that.
Well, I heard it. But the thing about this is that you think he
That's even a term you shouldn't even be using.
Yeah, but you think he's everything you want until you marry him. See, it's a difference when you cross the street and say, "Oh my God, he's just so nice. He's so nice," until you marry him. And that's where people get deceived with, like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, he don't treat me like he pay attention to everything I do." That's his job.
Yeah.
His job is to pay attention to you.
Yeah.
His job is to say, "Do you want some coffee today?
Yeah.
I'm going to Starbucks. You want some coffee today?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, because you're going to Starbucks.
Yeah.
But if you marry the person, they might not be as attentive as you think they are, because they just doing this to you now.
Yeah.
And you out of order for saying he your work husband.
No.
He's not your work husband.
You only have an associate or an acquaintance at work. That's it. And this goes into what we said earlier. You should not be crossing certain lines.
But then what happened is that it's me and him always at work together. Like what if a new girl get hired and then you start paying attention to her? Then women get jealous?
Well, obviously that probably would be the case.
Get jealous because you now you pinch this new young body that walked in the door.
Well, whatever. I mean, like I said, I don't want to sound like a broken record. People get in trouble when they cross lines. To avoid the trouble, don't cross the line. I've been saying this for 20-something years. How have I avoided a lot of things? I didn't put myself in a position. If I'd have put myself in a position, I probably would have crossed lines. And to this day, I have to live by that. Certain positions, I refuse to put myself in. Because no, I'm the reverend. What, you don't trust yourself? I think, but I ain't gonna take that chance. Oh, I think I feel the audience with that one. I think I trust myself, but I'm not gonna take the chance to find out. So I won't put myself in a position. All right? So you cross the line right here. Ain't no work husband. It's just and this could be with women too. It's an acquaintance, association at work, and that's it. You should not be sharing emotions with anybody.
Because what she's doing, she's comparing.
Sure.
She's comparing. He's more thoughtful. I go home to this man that's lazy, or this man that don't pay attention to me, this man that don't give me no money, this man that.
But you know what? It don't even have to be all of that. This is the key word you said is deception. It don't even have to be that the person at home is not that. Sometimes, and this is individuals in life, you can be in a particular mood. That's why I said earlier, you got to be careful with emotions. You could be in one of them moods and go somewhere, and all it takes is anybody to give it attention. It's not like you have a lack of attention at home all the time. It's just you in a particular mood at that certain point, and somebody gives you some attention. Maybe you're feeling not so good about yourself. Maybe your self-esteem is feeling a little low. And all it takes is anybody to give the attention. That's the deception. So it's not always that there's havoc at home. See, that's the easy way out. People say, well, they give me attention. It don't always have to be that. That's the deception. You could and we all can be in a certain mood, any of us, So, but to avoid all of that,
And the thing about, now this is how you can really be deceived. The deception is that you think he's better than your husband, but the biggest part you forget is you.
Yeah.
Because you attract whatever that you are.
Yeah.
So in other words, the deception is that, he treat me better because he's playing you now. But you still involved. Yeah. So wherever he might be, he be exactly like your husband.
Yeah.
And you just don't see it because you just think he's better than your husband. But you still involved because you still attracting what you did. The same thing you attract to your husband. Your husband, you got attracted to. But see, so in other words, you think you got a better deal. Yeah. But see, still you involved. And if you still involved, then you still attracting what you are.
So don't mess up something, off of deception. Don't do nothing like that. Okay. Like I said, you've got to be very careful with relationships, job, wherever it is. That's all it is. It's just an associate, acquaintance at my job. That's it. See, and I know that sounds tough for some people, and we're not saying be anti-sociable. You be social, but that's it. There are certain lines you have to put up. I remember saying this years ago, and you know this, and I was sharing this at one holiday at our home with some of my family members. As a pastor, that I purposely had put up certain walls on purpose, that I had to do that for protection. Because if you don't, even as a leader, because authority and power and all of that is attractive. The enemy used that. Doesn't matter who you are. Authority and power is attractive. And you have to purposely put up certain walls where people will not cross it. You have to purposely do that. Now, people will say, oh, don't take all of that. Yes, it do. When you want to be right. And you don't want to play games. And once again, you don't want to put yourself in that certain position, because we all can become vulnerable. Do I have vulnerable moments? Absolutely. Do I have some emotional moments? Absolutely. We all do. But when those moments happen, nobody knows. You know why? Because the walls are up. You can't get in. All right? Okay. Oh, gosh, we got to hurry. Let's see. Hi, Dr. Pettis. I want to thank you for the advice you gave last week, although, this is the one where there was adultery involved, but this person said that they were cheating. Say, I realized my faults, and asked for the Lord's forgiveness. Well, that's good, my brother, but it doesn't stop there. Build that trust back up with your wife. That's the key. Yeah, you ask for forgiveness and this, that, but make sure did you get forgiveness from your wife. And even if she don't trust you now, that's all right. You got to build it back up. And don't feel like, well, I told her I'm sorry. No. You violated the trust. So it's your responsibility to build it back up, not hers, yours. And if you're serious about that, you truly ask God to forgive you. You want her to forgive you and ask God to help you, give you wisdom so you can build that trust back up. All right? Okay, let's see. Next question, Apostle. I've been drug-free for years. I have a family member that's still struggling with drugs, and I can't be around that person. I was told that I was wrong. Well, first of all, how can it be wrong to protect yourself? If you had this issue yourself, and you're saying you can't be around that person, hey, no, you're not wrong. You're protecting yourself. Amen. And with anything that we've been delivered from, environment is crucial for us to maintain that deliverance. We've all been delivered from something. So to avoid even being tempted to get back in that, we have to avoid the environment. And then this person, obviously, they know themselves. If they say, I can't be around that person, maybe it's a close relative, maybe it's somebody who has influence over you. So if you can't be around them, people get mad. Hey, I'm sorry, but I'm protecting myself.
But one of the deceptions that people don't recognize is that the environment is one of the solid weapons that you cannot control. Mm-hmm. It's a weapon against you. If you're in a certain environment, that environment, you are going to pick up something from that environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people, I'm not that way. I know you was not that way, but keep on hanging around a certain environment. Yeah. You are going to do it. And people say, that's not true. That's not true. That's where deception is always there, because that environment is so strong that even Adam and Eve got caught up in the environment. Absolutely. And that's why they sinned. That's how strong it is. And whatever environment you are in, you are picking up little things that you think you're not picking up. It's like little dust particles. Little dust particles you think you ain't picking up, but you're picking it up. Then after a while, next month later or 2 years later, you doing what you said you would never do. Yeah. And you said, how I get here? Because you in an environment that was not conducive to where you want to go. If you don't want to go here, don't be in that environment. If you don't want to get caught up in the website, don't be around them.
Absolutely.
So that's the wisest thing to do. I know everybody don't understand why you do what you do. Don't worry about it. Right. The biggest thing people need to do in their life is get over people. Yeah. If you can get over people, you can do anything in life. Sure. You can get over, like, and I'm not saying in a bad way, right, but say, you know what? I got to do what's best for me.
Yeah, you're protecting yourself.
I have to protect myself. I don't want to go back. I know I don't like that person of who I was years ago with them drugs. Sure. I didn't like myself being in that sluggish attitude. I didn't like myself when I didn't have no money. I didn't like myself when I had to be by myself. I didn't like myself. Yeah. So in other words, you got to do whatever it takes to keep you a certain kind of way. Yeah. And, when you get over people, you like, I hear what you're saying, but I have to protect myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, last couple questions, then we're going to be done. I'm in love with my sister's husband. I slept with him before they got married, but he still chose her. She's mean to him, and he works hard. She doesn't deserve him. I do. No, you don't. Okay? You don't deserve him. As soon as he got married, that was off limits.
That's off limits.
Okay, so you need to move on, get over it.
You know what she should get mad at? She should get mad because he married her.
Well, that's true. He made the decision.
You should get mad at that. Like I should hold a grudge because he did marry her.
Exactly.
And we slept together and you still married her anyway.
You still married her, right. So,
get over it.
Daughter, move on.
Move on.
Move on. I know it can be tough, but you can make it. You can do it. Move on. Okay? Last two questions. Last one. Oh, my. I walked in on my brother having sex with my wife a few weeks ago. Today we had a conversation, and he said that my wife is ugly. He only wanted her because I had her. What next? Well, my brother, come on. Now, you know.
That's all he could make up excuse?
Mean, really.
That's not true.
Really? No.
That's not true.
You obviously you got some brother issues here. I hope this is not a Cain and Abel situation. You got some brother issues here, and you brothers need to work this out. Your wife, I don't know what you're gonna do in that situation, but what I do tell you this: don't get violent. Don't do that. This is not worth it. Mm-hmm. No one is worth you going to jail for or getting in trouble.
Amen. Amen.
If you want to end it, to avoid violence, end it. All right? That's a tough thing. That's a real tough thing. So I'm praying for you. You're the victim here. Your brother, was that trifling? Yep. No ifs and buts about it. On the wife with your brother, was that trifling? Yep. No ifs and buts about it. So get some counseling, whatever it is you decide to do. Obviously there's some issues here going on. This is not something that just happened. And saying because your wife, that doesn't even make sense. So there's some issues going on here. Okay? All right, last question. Okay. My husband is a chronic masturbator. Guess I'm not going to read all of it. Every day, and I guess she says, I wish he found me attractive like that. How do I help him from sin? Once again, talk with him. Is he saved? He is or is not. Maybe if he is, maybe he don't know that is sin, because it is. Okay, I think I did a teaching on that some time ago. Maybe we can dig up some tapes on that. Why he does that, maybe there's, like I said, maybe there's some issues going on. So you and him need to talk about it and see why. What's going on? You feel that he's not attracted to you. Is there reasons for that? Maybe it isn't, but talk about it, okay? And get some counseling. We keep ending this with counseling because it's only so much we can say, with the questions not being, full. Okay, I'm sorry. There was one more question, and that's it. This is it. My brother's a former gang member. He accuses me of being violent when he is the one who wants to step outside all the time. How do I make my family see he's the bad guy? No, you're not. You're not trying to do that. You don't ever want to make your family member bad in the eyesight of anybody. You know, all you can do is control your way. If you're doing the right thing, your family will see that. And if they're doing the wrong thing, then the family will see that. So you don't have to throw anybody under the bus to make yourself look good. That's a rule of thumb with anything. Yeah. You never have to throw anybody under the bus so you can come out looking good. You just keep doing the right thing. Yeah. Okay? All right. Well, that's pretty much of the questions. And as we said, Pastor Laura, because of what's going on, it's just you and I and the camera crew just in here talking about things. And we're going to do a couple things before we go. One of the things we're going to give the people an opportunity to give. Regardless, we've got to still give. You know, as believers, we don't stop tithing and giving. So the information should be on the screen on how you can give, especially our Better Life members. You've been taught well, you know, so you continue to bring your tithes and your offerings and all of that. So what I'm going to do some kind of one of the things what we normally do. I have my offering right here in my hand, and I'm going to do our confession that we do at every service during the offering, and then we're going to pray over your offering. Like I said, those you want to give, if you're not a member, if you've been enjoying the teachings, the ministry here, many of you who do not go to this ministry, if we've been a blessing to you, you know, as the scripture says, we've sown into you spiritual, we should reap your carnal things. Amen. So pray about it, even pray about being a partner to the ministry or whatever, but continue to help us do what we're doing. Amen. Amen? All right, I got my offering here, and I want you all to confess this after me. This is one of our confessions that we do for our offering. Father, I thank you for being my only source.
I thank you for being my only source.
That I trust and depend on.
That I trust and depend on.
Now and forever.
Now and forever.
Therefore,
I
thank you.
I thank you
for the financial resources.
For the financial resources
you have given me.
You have given me.
And according to Deuteronomy 8:18.
And according to Deuteronomy 8:18.
It is you.
It is you.
That has given me power.
Has given me power.
To get wealth.
To get wealth.
And according to Isaiah 48:17.
And according to Isaiah 48:17.
You are the Lord.
You are the Lord.
Who teaches me how to profit.
Who teaches me how to profit.
Therefore,
I
honor you.
I honor you.
With my best offering.
With my best offering.
I give cheerfully.
I give cheerfully.
Out of love.
Out of love.
I give with a purposed heart.
I give with a purposed heart.
As well as a kingdom principle.
As well as a kingdom principle.
Your word says.
Your word says.
When I sow bountifully.
When I sow bountifully.
I shall reap bountifully.
I shall reap bountifully.
Therefore.
I
thank you.
I thank you.
For multiplying my resources.
For multiplying my resources.
For systematically sowing.
For systematically sowing.
As I continue to give.
As I continue to give.
I will never live in lack.
I will never live in lack.
I will always have.
I will always have.
All sufficiency.
All sufficiency.
In all things.
In all things.
As you are raising up someone somewhere.
As you are raising up someone somewhere.
To use their power.
To use their power.
Ability.
And
influence.
And
to help me reach my next wealthy place.
To help me reach my next wealthy place.
I also thank you.
I also thank you.
For those you have designated.
For those you have designated.
And spoken to.
And spoken to.
Concerning giving to me.
Concerning giving to me.
Are now free to obey.
Are now free to obey.
In giving to me.
In giving to me.
A good measure.
A good measure.
Pressed down.
Pressed down.
Shaken together.
Shaken together.
And running over
and
well.
running over well.
I decree and declare.
I decree and declare.
That they come forth now.
That they come forth now.
In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Because of my giving.
Because of my giving.
I live in the overflow.
I live in the overflow.
With supernatural increase.
With supernatural increase.
Supernatural promotion.
Supernatural promotion.
Supernatural provision.
Supernatural provision.
I release my faith.
I release my faith.
And receive it now.
And receive it now.
In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Amen. So sow your seed, give your offering, fill out the information, whatever it is, to give it. And those of you, if you're not familiar on how to do all of that, you can mail it. Mail it here at the church, 5401 West Lake Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60644. Or, do whatever it is to get your offering into the house of God.
Amen.
Well, Pastor Laura, this has been a wonderful, wonderful time. And as we said, we're in the period now where the virus is going on. We have no fear. Those who've been following the ministry, I've been teaching the last couple weeks about the spirit of fear and faith over fear.
Yeah.
And one of the things you all can do, those of you who are at home, take communion. You know, the scripture says, as often as we do this, we show remembrance of him till we come again.
Amen.
Now, I know the first Sunday is coming up, and usually most churches, they take communion on the first Sunday, but guess what? You can take communion every single day.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do before we end this broadcast, we're going to partake in Holy Communion.
Amen.
Body of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, let's eat it. And the blood of our beloved Savior Jesus Christ, let's drink it. Amen. We are virus free.
Amen.
Praise God. No plagues is coming near our dwelling.
Amen.
No plague is coming near this ministry,
Amen.
the church, our partners, our friends. Praise God.
Praise
We've got
God.
faith over fear.
Amen.
Well, this has been Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. We'll see you this coming Sunday, 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. I'll be right back here ministering the Word of God. God bless you.
Amen.